We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung thính đại đức tặng thịnh, vì thứ pháp vội cập nhật thiết chúng sanh. Tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đắc lạc, tốc chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Saranto Suche Do Ye Ela Hedi San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Tạc Đạc Tha Tô Già Đà Già A La Ha Đề Tam Miao Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu shang sheng sheng wei miao fa bai jian万劫难遭遇，我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master YongHua, all monks and nuns, and all good new advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thỉnh Thanh Lương Quốc sư, Hòa thượng Tiến Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Oh, hello everyone. Today is the what day is it today? Today is the 4th of March, 2022. Thank you all for coming. We are here to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra written by Great Master Ching Liang. He summarizes here the profound principles that will be illustrated in the Avatamsaka Sutra. All right, so it's nice to have you all here. Let's see. We are now on slide number 221. Okay, let's delve right into it. This is actually such a cool thing to be able to be exposed to this with all of you. This is truly inconceivable that we're able to there's still interest from you to pursue this profound teaching. Okay, 221 text. Since one's words are suitable and true, the minds of those who receive them naturally hold to them.
言必真当故，受者之心自然独矣。
All right, 222. The great master Qingliang says, because the speaker's words, because the Buddha's words are suitable and true. Actually, Zheng Dang, Zheng is true and Dang is suitable. So the order a little bit switch off, okay? But, when you translate, please make sure that you preserve the same order, because they are the sequence matters, the order matters, okay? Because it's what trying to say here. When the Buddha speaks Dharma, okay, what are the characteristics? Number one, his words are true. Okay, you know that whatever he says is the pure truth. You can count on that. That's why he's a Buddha. Contrary to us, non-Buddhas, our words are not always true, if you will. So this is very important distinction that the Buddha's words, especially in this Dharma as profound as the Flower Adornment Sutra, Dharma, his words are true. He speaks the ultimate truth, if you will. Right? So the words are true. And Dang, appropriate or suitable. Okay? Why appropriate? This is very important. It's true and yet appropriate. Meaning that it's not overwhelming. Okay? Meaning that this is appropriate refers to the fact that it's true, but to the point of that you can absorb it. That is appropriate for you. Not only for you, but for me as well. And this is where the Buddha's spiritual powers come into play. Meaning that at all the listeners' level, whether it's my level, your level, and people in Asia's level, people in Africa's level, people in Russia's level, or Putin's level, whatever, okay? The words, the truth here that the Buddha speaks about is at the level that we can all absorb. We can accept. And that's what makes it fascinating. In that when you are listening to this sutra, especially to those who were present there in the Avatamsaka Sutra assembly, they're bodhisattvas of different levels. Let me assure you, first ground bodhisattva level of wisdom is definitely quite drastically a lot lower than the second ground bodhisattva's wisdom level. No two ways about it. I mean, it's like a huge difference. You find out, for example, later in chapter 39, entering the Dharma realm, where good wealth, young good wealth, were told by Manjushri to go and look for a good new advisor in order to become enlightened. Okay, and he to enhance his enlightenment, if you will. So after good wealth, young good wealth became enlightened, wanted to reach enlightenment. Manjushri says, you go, you are ready. You should go look for this good no advisor at such and such a place. So he went there. Young good wealth went a long distance to south, and then the southern direction. And he met this good no advisor. He says, Venerable Sir, great Bodhisattva Manjushri told me to come and learn from you. So he went around and went and circumambulated around the teacher, the good no advisor, for limitless number of times. Mind you. Okay? He went round and round and round and round. For us, when Master Wantek requested the Dharma, he did about 7 times, right? That's 4 times too many, but I'm not complaining. Okay. For us here, we only do 3 times, 7 times, we get tired. But good wealth, he went round and round and round. You see, it takes a long time for him to show his sincerity, to demonstrate his sincerity. That's the way it is. And then he would study under this first teacher for millions of kalpas. Think about it. Millions of kalpas. And at the end of that time, he became enlightened. Okay? He became enlightened, and so he asked his teacher, he says, what do I do next? The teacher says, you go south to seek such and such teacher. Okay? So good wealth, this is so Avatamsaka Sutra. You see, good wealth. Got a referral from his good no advisor who advised him to go to the next teacher who would teach him to reach second ground bodhisattvahood. So he went there, and again he circumambulated his next good no advisor endlessly, round and round and round and round. Okay, and then he studied under this good no advisor for how long? Billions of years. Not millions, now it's billions of years. Until he accomplished the Dharma. He reached second ground bodhisattvahood. So my point being that to go from first ground to second ground is so difficult. It takes such a long time. You see that? And then on and on. It gets longer, gets more difficult as you progress higher. Okay? And so, you see, the level of wisdom from first ground to second ground bodhisattva, my point being that the level of wisdom is very substantial. Okay, the things that the second ground bodhisattva can understand, that first ground bodhisattva cannot. Things that second ground bodhisattvas can do that first ground cannot. Similarly, third ground is a world difference to second ground, to first grounds. It gets exponentially higher and higher and higher. And yet, the Buddha, for all the bodhisattvas present there, because the Avatamsaka Dharma is for all bodhisattvas, from low level to high levels. They were there, present, and the Buddha's words were appropriate for all those levels. That's Tang. Those true words are at the level where it's appropriate for their capacity. Okay? So far, so good? Okay. Because there's true and suitable, I think we should switch the order a little bit just to be true to the original teaching. It's very important, again. It has to be true first and then suitable next. That's a combination that works when you give a profound teaching. You need to establish that you're truthful. And you have to give them only enough, so much that they can absorb it before they get overwhelmed. So far, so good? That the minds of those who receive them naturally hold to them. This is a part of where my shortcomings become clear. What's Chinese? How do you pronounce this Chinese character again, Master Xianxi? Tia, whatever. Phản, 自然什么？
自然独已。
独已. Okay, so this is 独已. Okay, it's I don't know how it got translated into naturally hold to them. Okay, but the effect is, to me, it's different. It's not hold on to them. Here's what happens. All those bodhisattvas, okay, they're there. They were there. They are there. Okay? When they hear of the true Dharma and at the appropriate amount for them, you can remove this space there. Okay? It's not about naturally hold on to them. Okay, these bodhisattvas are hungry for the words of wisdom. So, of course, they will appreciate it. Okay? So to hold on to them, naturally hold on to them, to me is obvious. You don't even need to bring it up. What's key here of a true and appropriate teaching from the Buddha's golden mouth is that those words make them increase their sincerity. They become more sincere. Okay? What's sincerity? The faith grows. This is a key part of the Buddhist training, the Buddhist teaching, is that the objective of whether we teach you Chan, whether we explain sutras to you, or we practice mantras to you, okay, is to help you increase your faith. That's what sincerity means. You're sincere because your faith increases. The more sincere you are, the more you believe. Agree or disagree? Oh, okay, I assume you agree. Okay, so you increase faith, so these listeners are become more sincere. Okay, no, when they become more sincere, the next aspect of do is diligence. Because when you believe, then you practice harder. What does it mean, practice harder? You skip sleeping? You skip eating? No, we're not asking you to do that. You naturally apply yourself more. You not only apply yourself, but you also put it into use in your lives, in your daily lives. Okay, the Dharma is supposed to benefit your daily life. The Dharma, the Buddha Dharma, is not something that is esoteric. It's only reserved for the select few, or for the advancement of their intellect and so forth. No, the Buddha Dharma is for you to utilize in your daily life. That's why it's so profound. The more you use it, the more you see how profound it really is. Okay? Questions or comments? And these are the subtleties about Mahayana that's beyond, ladies and gentlemen, the intellect, beyond understanding. It's beyond philosophy. It's about a lifestyle, a way of living, a way of being. All right? Next, 223. Therefore, of all the assemblies in most, it is made clear that entry into samadhi is conditioned for speaking the sutra.
故于诸会多名入定，未说经缘。
224. Therefore, of all the assemblies, okay, in the 9 assemblies of Flower Adornment Sutra, in most assemblies that it's obviously clear that a condition for speaking the sutra is to enter samadhi, meaning that the profound teaching must be spoken, must be bestowed to the listeners by the speaker who enters samadhi, except for, in some special cases. But for majority of the time, the speaker of the Dharma enters samadhi. The more important it is, the more often you have to enter samadhi. The deeper, the more powerful the samadhi is. Why? Because it helps the listener absorb it. It helps make it stick in our mind. Okay? Samadhi matters. It's not about talk alone. This is why in Buddhist training, we insist on developing your samadhi and make it stronger and higher and stronger. Okay? So that you can break barriers of resistance. Okay? In fact, all of us have this aura around us that's from our samadhi. Every one of us has a shield. A shield. If you look, for most people, you can see, many people see that our body has an aura, has an aura, a light, a layer of light. That's a certain thickness that surrounds our body, and that's from our samadhi. Okay? So the speaker samadhi must be able to break through that aura in order to help you absorb the teaching. If the speaker's samadhi is inadequate, his words, his power hits your aura and bounces off, then you will have a hard time absorbing or accepting the teaching. Okay? So that's why for something as important, as profound as the Flower Adornment Sutra, the speaker samadhi will help us retain and enhance the quality of the seeds, the Vajra seeds of the teaching, from the teaching. Okay? So, for example, in the first, going back to slide 224 here, in the first assembly, Universal Worthy Bodhisattva enters Vairochana, thus come one's body, treasury, samadhi. In the third assembly, Dharma Wisdom Bodhisattva, who spoke that during the third assembly, he enters the samadhi of Bodhisattva's limitless skill in means and speak the Dharma of limitless expedient means. Okay? So, see, they need to have a certain level of concentration in order to speak these profound principles. 225. The one which has no entry to samadhi will be discussed when the text is reached.
有不入定者，至闻当说。
Okay, 226. The one there, and there's of course there are a few exceptions where there's no need to enter samadhi at all. Okay, and that when we reach a text, we'll discuss it in greater details. Okay, so for example, more specifically, in the second assembly, there's no entry to samadhi. Based on the text, but maybe because it was lost in a translation. Regardless, we delve into that later. 227. The rest, which do have entry to samadhi, all exhaust the Dharma's source, the karmic functionings difficult to conceive.
其所入定，接近法缘，业用难思。
228. Except for those few cases where in the text where there's no mention of the speaker entering samadhi, the rest of the text consistently says that the speaker, the Dharma in that particular chapter, particular Dharma assembly, enters samadhi before he spoke the Dharma. Okay, in order to exhaust the Dharma's source. Okay, so the Dharma spoken is therefore spoken thoroughly, exhaustively. Okay, and in particular, the karmic functionings are difficult to conceive. Okay, what karmic functions? It refers to this karma of speaking the Dharma, okay, has a certain use. Okay? When the Dharma is spoken, it has a purpose. It has a specific purpose. Each chapter, each Dharma being bestowed upon us is done for a reason. And those reasons are difficult to conceive. What does it mean, difficult to conceive? 难思. This is a jargon, the concept that you will find in the Avatamsaka teaching. 难思 or 不可思议, meaning it says it means that it's difficult to conceive, it's inconceivable. Okay, 思 here is to conceive, to think, to try to understand. So the Dharma described in the Avatamsaka Sutra is inconceivable, meaning that it's not something you can possibly understand with your thinking mind. That's why it's called difficult to conceive or inconceivable. 难思 here, okay, it's difficult to conceive here is actually meant to is to put it mildly. Actually, it's inconceivable, meaning there's no way for you to understand. There's no way for you to put your arms around it, for your mind to possibly understand it thoroughly. It's not possible. Okay, the only way for you to be able to understand the Dharma is to get rid of that mind that insists on understanding. That's the only way. And as long as you insist on understanding, it becomes difficult to conceive. You see how clever it is? The Buddha knows that we all want to understand. Catholics want to understand, lawyers want to understand, housewives want to understand. Children demand it has to make sense to them as well. Okay? So that's why in this particular teaching, the Flower Adornment Sutra teaching, you have to face your limitations, the limitations of your thinking mind. The thinking mind is very limited. It can only grasp so much, and then it's exhausted. It can't take it. Think how the proof is, think how overwhelming our lives are. We have more wrinkles on our forehead. And that's because we can't handle it. We can't hack it. Hair become gray. Because we can't handle it. Okay? Our mind can't handle it. So therefore, we need to let go of this insistence on trying to understand and accept the fact that we have this thing called the invisible Buddha's help. What is the difference between that and blind faith, blind belief? Don't you wonder? Doesn't anyone wonder? What's the difference between Buddha's words versus God's words or Allah's words or whatever, or Vishnu's words? Well, we have an answer. Number 4.
It's a little biased, but I think that...
God's words are better.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any disagreement? You guys are becoming so gentle. Hurt him. It's okay to hurt him. Sometimes pains help people wake up. The difference is funny because I have a friend who's a devout Christian, and he really believes in God because God gives him meaning in life. So he's retired now, and so he spends time helping propagate the teaching, God's teaching. Okay, and it's remarkable to be able to have something that you're excited about, that drives you. Okay, that energizes you every day. That's wonderful. And so one day I said, I'm a Buddhist monk, but the only way for us to operate is to get a license to operate is to operate in a church. Okay, because to get a church permit, a temple permit is virtually impossible. Forget it. So the only way, practical way for us is in the U.S. I'm not talking about other countries. Okay, in the U.S., it's easier and the fastest and most affordable is to get a church who has a license already. Okay, so he says, of course, God provided for you. Okay, so his first reaction is that, it's funny, he says, I'm a Buddhist monk. And he says, God provided for you. Doesn't it sound weird to you that God will provide for me? See, the Catholics, they think it's normal. Does it bother you? Well, the Buddhists, nothing bothers my disciples anymore. It is scary. They become so numb. Yes, sir. Catholic disciple.
I don't know, it's just my humble opinion, but I think if Buddhists propagate in a way, it is my belief that Buddhists propagate the God's word too. Because if you guys are helping people save and do the right thing, why not? So in a weird way for me, my understanding is that Buddhists do God's work too. And if that's the only way to save people, be it, that's fine.
What do you have to say about that? This Catholic says, you guys are doing good work too. Therefore, you do God's work as well. What do you have to say? Where are all the men, disciples of mine? Have you all become soft and gentle? Come on, have some spine. Stand up to Putin with the people of Ukraine. Come on, man. Yes, 5.
I think the difference between the belief in the blind faith in God and the type of faith you have in the Buddha is one requires much more wisdom, and one encourages the building of wisdom within yourself and your understanding of all things, and one just asks you to trust. And so I just think that the Catholicism is at a baby level of wisdom. It's the same
Baby
type.
level wisdom. Did you hear that, Catholic?
It's the same type. It's much lower.
This is our assembly. What do you want? You object to that, of course. Of course, we keep on talking about it. It's kind of fun to have, Daniel here come and listen to it and participate and speak his 2 cents worth. Speak his mind. Yes, 9.
Addison, Brazil, said he disagrees. He said all dharmas are the Buddha dharmas. And Diego said, maybe God is helping Mahasattva work. Haha, if so, let it be. Haha.
To me, I marvel at how so many Christians and Catholics believe, like my friends, who really believe, because they have a certain kind of positive responses, feedback from their experience, spiritual experiences that will deepen their faith. That's wonderful to have that. Nothing wrong with that. Okay? But each person is different. For those people, it's nice for them to have faith. Whether it's faith in God, faith in Vishnu, I have no objections to that. Or here in the United States, we have a lot of Indians who believe in some kind of spirits because they help them. Okay? Help in what way? Become better people. So if that's the case, whether you believe in whatever God, whoever God or goddess or the spirits or Buddha or whatever that helps you become a better person, then I'm for it. Why are you stuck on Buddha or God or whatever? Okay? For us, Buddhists, for me personally, it's not about faith. For me, I demand verification. I expect verification. Okay, it's nice to be able to say you believe someone, but for me, as an educated person, I need to have the comfort of knowing that it's verifiable, has been verified. And that's the big difference in Mahayana and versus the other spiritual approaches. In Mahayana, we expect certification, we expect verification by people who are qualified to do so. And that's the standard in Mahayana. Mahayana teaching has been verified by people who have wisdom, not us. Okay? For me personally, I have no wisdom, but I believe I met a person who has far greater wisdom than my own, Master YongHua. And he's a bodhisattva. He's a mahasattva. And he says, so therefore, his words to me have been verified by himself. They're true, they're suitable, and it's something he experienced himself. So that's why is that? Because it says right here in slide 228, it's not something we can conceive of. Whatever they tell us, okay, it's not something we can possibly understand. Okay, so if I insist on verification, then I need to depend on someone who has more wisdom than mine, that's all. Okay, so this is a difference in Buddhism. We send people out there who can verify, they can assert it, ascertain that these teachings are true to them personally. And they're called bodhisattvas. We have lots of them. Okay? Yeah. All right. So that's the difference. We difficult to conceive. We know that. It's not something that we expect you to believe blindly. But that's why we send bodhisattvas, many of them. Okay? All over the Dharma realm. And then what do? They come to us and act as nanny, act as your neighbor, act as your family member, okay? And they are the ones who reassure us, who help us inspire. Okay? All right. 229. The fifth, depending on the manifestation of marks, that is, nature, Dharma nature is still and silent, and although it has no marks.
第五，依现象者，为法性寂了，虽无诸相。
230. The fifth what? The fifth condition for this flower adornment sutra, the flower adornment Dharma, to be spoken is the dependency on the manifestation of marks. Yes, 9.
2 questions. The first one is from Jens. Can you tell
From
how...
where?
From Jens.
Gems?
Jens.
Jens. Jens. Okay. Where's Jens?
It's he or she's a new person.
Okay. Which part of the world is that? Welcome.
Can you tell how Pure Land faith differs to blind faith? I try to practice other power exclusive, Jodo Shinshu.
Right. Okay. So why is it different? Okay. The Pure Land Dharma is a special Buddhist Dharma. The nature of Dharma, the Pure Land Dharma, is that the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, spoke of the Pure Land Dharma to his Arhat disciples. Arhats in Buddhism are the beings who are enlightened and who have wisdom. And this particular Dharma, Pure Land Dharma, was spoken to those Arhats, those devout disciples, without being requested. Because the Buddha knows that these devoted disciples do not know about this Pure Land Dharma, which is too important to wait for them to request for it, because they don't know about it. How are they going to request for it? So that's why that's an exception with the Pure Land Dharma, where the Buddha says, I will speak this Dharma for you because it's beneficial for you. Okay, so it's a special Dharma. It's not the same as the other kinds of Buddhist Dharmas, where it's spoken to this group of people who believed in him already. This is a history, by the way, of the Pure Land Dharma, is that it's spoken to people who believe in the Buddha already, who believe that the Buddha's words are true. That's why it's spoken to them. Okay. Typically, the other non-Pure Land Dharmas, all the other Dharmas, had to be requested by the Buddha's disciples before the Buddha would speak of them. And because that's the nature of the Buddha Dharma. Someone has to request for the teaching on behalf of those in attendance. Because that one person has wisdom. Before he requested the Dharma, he says, he looked at the assembly, the people present there. He said, oh, these people there. Oh, under the circumstances, this is the right time for me to request a Dharma that will benefit all those people here, present here. Okay? So that's how the Dharma was bestowed to the followers by requesting the Buddha to benefit the followers, specifically those present. So far, so good. In particular, the Pure Land Dharma was bestowed to without being requested, because the Buddha looked at them and said, if I wait for you, there's no way I'm going to wait for too long. I'm dying. I don't have much time left, so I better explain it to you. So he explained to them. So the premise is that these people believe in the Buddha already. And those beliefs were based on faith. Belief was based on the fact that these arhats verify the Buddhist teaching. When the Buddha says, you have this thing called, in a prior life, I was this king. In a prior life, you, Suddhodana, used to be my wife, okay? And the Buddha's wife, the bhikshuni, what's her name? Bhikshuni, the Buddha's wife, bhikshuni's name. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, there, we playing tea, huh? Shall we do American tea? Yeah, American tea. Okay, so the Buddha says, in a prior life, you were my queen. In a prior life, you were my captain of the guards. And you know what? Shariputra says, let me see. You're right. So Shariputra verified it. He says, yeah, Buddha's words are true. So far, so good. So these people, his devout disciples, verified the Buddhist teaching, the Buddhist claims themselves. So that's why they believe totally. No doubt in their mind at all. So that's when they're right, when the time is right. The Buddha says, now you believe me. I will tell you something that because of your faith, I will teach you. Okay? So that's a requirement of Pure Land Dharma, is that it's for those who have faith. If you don't have faith, you don't have to believe the Pure Land Dharma. That's the premise. No one is asking you to believe. However, for those who believe, they attain far greater benefits than they were able to achieve otherwise. That's a difference. Okay, so different type of Dharma. So how is it different from blind faith? It's not blind faith. It's a premise that you believe already. And therefore, because of your belief, that entitles you to take advantage of something called the Pure Land Dharma. So that's why it's absolutely not based on blind faith. All right, so what does it mean to you? Same applies to you. These arhats, even after the Buddha explained the Pure Land Dharma, they could not verify it at all. Okay? And that's, unfortunately, you need to get a much higher level before you can hope to be able to verify it. Yes, 9.
Jens is from Germany.
From Germany. Oh.
And then there's another question from Addison, Brazil.
Yes.
If I were to recognize a bodhisattva to be a bodhisattva, have I a conception of a self, other living beings, or a life?
Yes, you still have those conceptions. Absolutely. Okay? Whether you conceive of Buddha or Bodhisattvas is not that important. You still have, based on your question, you still have a notion of a self. All right, so again, let me, in closing, the good question from Jens about the Pure Land Dharma door. I'm very grateful for the being this person being straightforward and saying, how can I know? How can I possibly believe it if I cannot verify it? It's a special dharma that because the benefits are so inconceivable that when you have faith, you will have some glimpses, some insights into the responses you're going to get. So the premise is that when you have faith, you have profound faith, some things will happen to help you deepen your faith. Whereas if you don't have faith, then it's not up to the Buddha to prove it to you at all. Okay? So it's a special dharma reserved for the privileged. I'm sorry. That's the way it is. It's a club, special club called Pure Land Club, Western Bliss Pure Land Club, where in order to be a member, it takes a lot of Pure Land blessings. So, in other words, we have a lot in my past experience has been that there are some people who read a lot of books on Pure Land, who are very been practicing Pure Land for a long time. But when I spoke of the more advanced Pure Land concepts, they find it hard to believe. Really. They've been reciting Buddha's name for decades. They've been following the Pure Land Dharma door for a long, long time. And yet when I spoke to them about added more dimensions to the Pure Land Dharma door that were taught to them, they couldn't believe it. Whereas some of my disciples who don't even practice much at all, when they heard of the Pure Land Dharma door, they believe it immediately. And because of that, they further got more insights, a lot more insights than otherwise. Okay? And that's our limitations. And that's the way it is. That's the nature of the Dharma door. Can't make all of you happy. All right? All right. Anything else? Yes, sir. Number 4.
Quick question: what is the difference between the Pure Land Dharma door and the Chan Dharma door?
Okay, the Pure Land Dharma door is the special Dharma door that will help you take care of your next life. Whereas the Chan Dharma door is specifically designed to help you achieve enlightenment this lifetime. Open your wisdom right now, this very life, if you're up to it. And if you can't, then there's an escape for you. There's an alternative called Pure Land Dharma door, where you can go to the Pure Land in the next life, because right now, for most of us, we're terrified of death because we don't know what's going to happen to us after death. And so Buddhism has all this knowledge about what happens to you after death, to all of us after death, that has provisions, okay, to help us better cope with the end of life, our death, and prepare us to go to a better a better place, that where we put an end to all our sufferings. And that's called Pure Land, the Western Bliss Pure Land. So that's the future life, that's the next life. So it's an option. If you are capable right now, okay, do Chan. And just in case that's what we do. And just in case that you aren't able to become enlightened, because it's not that easy, and practically, truthfully speaking, it's very difficult to become enlightened. It takes a lot of personal sacrifices. It takes a lot of personal sacrifices. Trust me. So if you can't do that, you cannot make sacrifices, then it's very unlikely you become enlightened this lifetime. If that's the case, then invest in your future lives. Invest in the Pure Land. That's it. All right? Now, why do we need to invest in the Pure Land? Because we have what we call opinion leaders. Like here we have TikTok leaders, YouTube leaders, whatever, the influencers, if you will. Okay, same thing in Buddhism. We have opinion, we have leaders like Manjushri Bodhisattva, like Universal Worthy Bodhisattva, like Guanyin Bodhisattva, who all say that they would like to go to the Western Bliss Pure Land. And therefore, they say, you should too. Go there. So, I'm going there. I hope to go there. Sign me up. Because I believe in those bodhisattvas. Okay? So it's not quite blind faith, if you will. Okay? That is, I don't understand, but I have someone that I believe in. I have a person in the flesh called YongHua, or his disciples called, Heng something, who are also enlightened. I know enlightened. Yes, 9.
From Ru Zhang, what are the advanced Pure Land Dharmas?
The advanced Pure Land Dharmas, that is, for example, you recite the Buddha's name is a very simple Dharma door, and yet it will bring you to higher levels than all the Chan Dharma doors. If you practice it properly, you can get to reach higher levels than, let's say, a Huatou Dharma door. Okay? And it's proven. It happens. You can recite the Buddha's name, you can recite Guanyin's name, whatever, and you will become enlightened, and you will also reach a pretty high level. You become a Bodhisattva, you become a Mahasattva yourself by reciting Emitofuo, Emitofuo, Emitofuo. Because there's a Dharma door behind it, there's a training behind it. Okay? It's very advanced, trust me. What I can tell you is that I know of people who by reciting Buddha's name got higher levels than practicing Chan. Okay? That's a fact. I met such people. I met people who became enlightened practicing Chan, Huatou, and so forth. Those. But also people who recite Buddha's name and also became enlightened and got much higher level than they're practicing Chan. How is that? All right. Going back to slide 230. The fifth condition for speaking this Flower Adornment Sutra is the dependency, the conditions for the manifestation of the marks. Okay? Manifestation of the marks. The marks of speaking Dharma. It will be clearer in the next few slides. Okay? That is, the Dharma nature is still and silent, although it has no marks, Okay, he says this nature of the Dharma, the true nature of the Dharma is still and silent. Okay, still, the Dharma is still, doesn't move. But it doesn't fidget like you. When you sit and do the Dharma of Chan, you fidget. Oh, it hurts. Oh, my back doesn't feel right. Oh, I'm so tired. Okay, so you fidget. Okay, and as this Chan training will train you to become more and more still, and that's how you gauge your progress. By the way, yeah? So the Dharma nature, the nature of the Dharma, Buddha Dharma, the Dharma you practice, whether it's Chan, whether it's Pure Land, whether it's Tantras, is still and silent. Okay, silent here. And the Chinese character, I don't. Not only does it mean silent, also means vast and boundless. Yes, was there a question number 9?
From Diego, will we reach the same level if we recite the Medicine Master Buddha mantra, Namo Boche Fadi?
Yes. You can. Theoretically speaking, you can. However, I have yet to meet such people. Why? Why not? It's because, unfortunately, in our Saha world, the Medicine Master Buddha Dharma is disappearing gradually. And actually, it's only until recently that we've been promoting the Medicine Master Buddha Dharma, and for some wonderful reasons, miraculous reasons, people have a lot of good responses for it. Because in Buddhism, we believe because we have personal results, we have good results from it. We see the real benefits to ourselves. So that's why the Dharma is becoming stronger again. Okay, so typically, when you go to Asian temples, you see that, fewer and fewer temples are practicing the Medicine Master Buddha Dharma. So it's not surprising that very few people recite the Medicine Master mantra. But conceivably, if you recite that mantra, you should also become enlightened. You should also be able to reach pretty high level as well. Okay? Yes, 5. Did you have a question?
I had a question about the statement, Dharma nature is still and silent. It just occurred to me right now that it's causeless then, because it doesn't move or make any reverberations. So, am I supposed to stop causing things?
Stop what?
Causing? There's no impetus to cause things.
Right. You refrain from creating karmas. It's not cause. Create karmas. Create what kind of karmas? You refrain from acting. You refrain from speaking. So when we meditate, we don't move, right? Physically, we don't move. And that's something that, as I teach the Chan class, online Chan class, every now and then I would take a peek at the people on the screen, and the people would fidget, or they move, they lean forward, or one text union will. Okay, so and that's part of the progression. Eventually, you get to the point where you actually don't move at all. It's natural progression, okay? Because you become closer and closer, and you embody the Dharma that is still and silent. So you don't move, okay? You don't create body karma. What else don't you do when you practice? You don't say anything. You're quiet. So you don't create mouth karmas. Okay? Even when you recite the Buddha's name, when you recite the medicine master Buddha mantra, you don't recite with sound anymore. You don't even move your lips anymore. Moving your lips is mouth karma. It's body karma. Okay? So that's why you recite silently. So you don't create mouth karma. You don't speak. Silent. You practice in silence. And finally, you don't create mind karmas. What does it mean? Mind karma is that you sit there, you meditate, and the thought of anger rises. This is not fair. This is unacceptable. So these thoughts arise. And it disturbs you. You're sitting there and happy, and then, your thought arises, thought of anger arises, thoughts of greed arises, thought of adoration for God arises. Okay? And that's a disturbance. It's not desirable. A thought of respect for the Buddha, is that okay? Soju, is it okay to say, oh, I believe in Amitabha? No, even the thought is not okay. It's called mind karma. Your mind doesn't move anymore. How do your mind not move? Because it enters samadhi. Got that? So you train, whether you train as in tantras, okay? Even if you recite mantras in your training, by the way, you still end up going towards no body karma, no mouth karma, no mind karma. Is it clear? In all Buddhist practices, it's no body karma, no mouth karma, no mind karma at all. Meaning that when you recite mantras, you're not supposed to move. You're not supposed to make sounds. When you practice by yourself, you practice with others, it's okay to make sounds. Okay? That practice is to make mouth karmas. Okay? And then even, so that's why even when you do mantras, tantric practices, you're not supposed to move. You're not supposed to make sounds. Some practice, advanced practices in tantric practices, you don't make sound. And in particular, you have no more thoughts. That's an overview of Buddhist practices. It shows you the depth of Mahayana. The same thing. Whether you practice Chan, practice Pure Land, practice Tantric, same requirements, no karmas. Make sense? That's why the Dharma nature, that's what brings you back to uncover your true nature. That is still and silent. Has no marks. Absolutely no marks. And it has more. Shall we continue? (231). The characteristics of marklessness does not obstruct prolific flourishing.
无相之相，不爱烦心。
How come the Chinese have such depth? And I really envy, I have a Chinese envy, if you will. Okay? I wish I knew Chinese. I don't want to be Chinese. I just want to know I knew Chinese. I like Vietnamese. Anyway, I'm Vietnamese, but I don't like Vietnamese food. My life's so complicated. I get so confused. Anyway, that's besides the point. Okay, I like Vietnamese, but I prefer non-Vietnamese food. But my chef gives me Vietnamese food only. Life is so difficult for me. I used to be so much happier. Anyway, 232, commentary. Just because the Buddha Dharma, the Dharma nature, is markless, meaning it has nothing whatsoever. Nothing. Not even a thought. Not even something called belief or faith. Nothing whatsoever. Is it clear? If you have anything at all, okay, then you're attached to marks. This ultimate Buddha Dharma, ultimate wisdom is that you're attached to nothing. No Buddha, no God, no Bodhisattva, nothing. It's okay, control yourself. God is okay. Don't get offended. It's not for you. Yes, 9.
From Chun, should it be the mark of markless?
The characteristics and mark is the same thing. Characteristic is xiang. It's okay too. Okay? The mark of marklessness, but they prefer, here the translator is being erudite. She says, if you use marklessness, it's not as elegant as its characteristic of marklessness. It's more pedantic, if you will. You know pedantic? Of course not. See? That's characteristic of marklessness. Okay? Does not obstruct prolific flourishing. Fan here is, sing here is a lot. Prolific. Okay? Prolific. I mean, it's just like, it's like boundless. It keeps on multiplying endlessly, like a geyser. Okay? Sing, and it's flourishing. And not only is it keeps on increasing, but also it is flourishing. Yes. Okay? Next, 233. In the arisal of teaching, there are many events, and the marks are not a single type.
起教多端，相非一准。
All right, 234. When the teachings, arisal teaching means that when the Buddha Dharma is being explained, when the Buddha spoke Dharma, that's what I mean by arisal teaching. Okay, in particular case here, it's very specific here. There are many events, okay, and the marks are not a single type. Many things happen when the Buddha spoke Dharma, the Buddha Dharma. And those many things have different types of manifestations. They're all different. They look different. So for example, when the Buddha spoke the Lotus Sutra or the Dharma Flower Sutra, the Buddha emitted light, the earth quaked, not just in California, but the earth quaked. Okay? And it rained mandarava flowers from the heavens to the gods. The gods sprinkle heavenly flowers, okay, as an offering from the heavens. Okay, and you see, and the Catholics don't know that, but God will be flying up there, sprinkling, oh, thank you, Buddha, thank you, Buddha. Poor guy, he takes so much abuse. Okay, so that's the rain, heavenly manner of flowers means that this is very Buddhist. The gods actually sprinkle heavenly flowers from the sky. It was down. Okay? The gods so excited, they say, oh, I want to offer flowers to the Buddha. When the Buddha spoke the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, the manifestation before he spoke that sutra was that there are sounds, lights, which shone and reached everywhere in the universe. Meaning that this Dharma here can benefit all corners of the universe, all living beings, will bring wisdom and bring light to all the dark places of the universe. Meaning that nothing can stop the Buddha's light of wisdom. Nothing. Yes, 9.
From Addison, Brazil, my understanding is that thoughts are like a shadow of forms or conditions. So my question is, if that is right, and if so, does that mean I will always have thoughts and the goal is not to become moved by attached to those thoughts?
First of all, thoughts are not shadows. Thoughts are thoughts. In Buddhism, thought is just a thought. How do you recognize a thought? A thought is something that jumps up in your mind, that arises in your mind, and is clear when you meditate. When you meditate, okay, for example, if you follow the Hinayana people, they teach you to, let's say, count your breath. Okay? Or let's say you are a guru and you teach people yoga and you say, oh, stretch, and go into that ridiculous posture. Okay? And ignore the thoughts that this is impossible. Okay? Those thoughts arise naturally in your mind, in your head. Yes? You don't need to know that there are shadows or there are whatever. All you need to know is that a thought is what you recognize, that blip in the screen, in your mind. The thought arises. A thought arises, your mind is fine, you're doing something, and then an errant thought, if you will, at our level right now, at the level this person asks, we're talking about an errant thought. You're doing something. You're counting your breath. You're watching your nose. You're watching your nose, and all of a sudden, this is boring. Anyone? Happens to me all the time. That's why I don't like to practice watching my nose. How can I tell my friends that I spend all day watching my nose? Think about it. Oh, no, don't think about it. You see the point? The point is that just know the thought is that, it arises in your mind. You don't need to follow people and say, hey, this is a shadow, this is a formless shadow, or whatever. No, the thoughts are in your mind. And in your practice, the cleverness of all these spiritual practices is they all are expedients to help you recognize you have these errant thoughts you're not supposed to have. You're supposed to concentrate on your navel, and the thought arises. You're supposed to recite the Buddha's name, and the thought arises. You're supposed to breathe, and the thought arises. You're supposed to stretch your legs, and the thought says, I don't like this. I'm going to fall and break my back. And that's all you have to do. You recognize those things. So these different practices, whether it's yoga, tai chi, martial arts, kung fu, panda kung fu bear, Panda Kung Fu, whatever, you recognize these errant thoughts. And those practices, as you progress naturally, okay, those errant thoughts become far and few in between. Few between. So that's why naturally as you progress, these thoughts will diminish to the point where no thought arises because you enter samadhi. You develop the skills to control yourself. Whatever you do, whether it's again, whether you practice Shaolin or Tai Chi. Okay, you focus on that practice, and the thoughts will not arise. And that's called, in the Chan school, called samadhi. So you develop the ability to say, I want to enter samadhi and free my mind from thoughts. And that happens. It's a skill you have. That's one thing that reaffirms me personally that the Buddha's teaching, Master Shewa's teaching, is true because I verified myself. It's not from the books. I have the days where I sit there and then nothing happens in my head, as if when you do this, the thoughts still arise. Oh, I feel so good. Anyone? Whereas when you enter samadhi, you feel good and yet no thought arises. So you feel better, actually. All right? So it's very practical. Please, I'm sorry I am super verbose about this, about my answer. It's just too long. The short answer is that no, your concept about thoughts is inaccurate, is wrong. Just follow the practice. Just merely understand that those thoughts, if your spiritual practice is on the right path, your thoughts will be fewer and fewer. And eventually you have the skill to enter samadhi, which in those samadhis you have no thoughts. And you will find it yourself. Okay? Time is almost up. And then also wonderful things happens actually. When you enter samadhi, good things happen to you physically, intellectually, spiritually, all the goodies that only them people can dream of. I have no clues on what we're talking about. Okay, so, all right? And and the reason that we have more and more people interested in practicing our style of Wei-Yang style of Chan is that even though we are more demanding, even though we ask for it's more rigorous, because of that, more people experience samadhi and uncover and develop their own skills and got tremendous benefits from their own skills. All right? Okay, so we stop here. Next time we pick up from 235. Thank you all. Now, we will transfer the merit and virtue of this we created so far to help people go to the Pure Land. Right? And that is a wish as well of many of our followers who are quite afflicted over the current war in the world. And so this, in a small way, our efforts today hopefully will help them get some relief should they encounter misfortune and or death. Okay, thank you.